Yeah. Trying to get that out the shot. You all right? You good? Yeah, man. Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, hold on. Where's my?
Yeah, on the side of you, to the left.
I'm like, where'd they go? No, they were here.
It's just so you can just sit on them. You ready? You sit.
Hey, y'all. Sorry for showing up late. We had some.
Technical difficulties. My computer decided it wanted to what was it?
Updating.
Yeah, it did decided it wanted to update as soon as we decided to go live. But we're here now.
Yes, and we decided we're not going to force y'all over to YouTube. We understand that not everybody is used to YouTube yet, so we're going to be going live on YouTube and Facebook. So we're not going to banish folks who aren't on YouTube.
Yes.
Anyway, equally yoked after dark, yoked equally after dark. If you haven't done it already, make sure you follow us on social media. If you haven't liked the pages already, Coco's Chronicles is available. Nicole R. Conway, the page, and Coco's Images, of course. The weather report, all that good stuff. Anyway, how are y'all doing? Monday night. Go
Yes.
ahead.
So I decided this week that we were going to change the topic a little bit. Did the introduction of who we were, what Yoke Equally is, and what we do as a business. But what we're doing in the evening is totally different. So basically, we wanted to talk about after care, after you are out of the cages, after you have gone through some type of trauma, after you have my husband is the media person, but after you have been to prison, after you have been in a mental institution, after you have recovered from drugs, what is it that you do after you have done all those things? I mean, you can say, yes, I'm better now, but what do you do as far as a recovery thing, especially in a marriage or a relationship or getting to know somebody for the first time? If you've had that past trauma, how do you deal with as far as coping with your mate, and sharing those experiences and living with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an honest thing. I think sometimes just the trauma of being in cages, just the trauma of incarceration, the trauma of being confined, it brings its own set of neuroses into the relationship. And then you get into a relationship and there are dynamics there, particularly if you've been in more than one marriage. So this is my fourth marriage. And there's stuff that you carry over from every relationship that compounds, and then just the trauma being in those cages. And so I think we talk about what can we do to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves.
Right.
And so for me, it has been acupuncture. It has been Dr. Bay. It has been just being willing to be honest about some things too. I had to be honest about where a lot of my pain was coming from, where a lot of my because I'm not an aggressive person, because I'm not a violent person, but there were instances that were pushing me towards violence because I refused to act on anger. I refused to act on hurt. And I just kept stuffing that stuff down because, in prison or even in the hood or even in the situations I was in, showing emotions was not beneficial.
Right.
Right. And so you come into a relationship where, particularly a marriage where you're not used to being vulnerable, and part of that is just being honest that, I got issues, up front, anyway.
Well, we both do. I mean, it's different when you're dating, but when you decide that, we're together, we're going to decide to unpackage and unpack all this luggage together. What are we going to do to make this thing work? Because you don't know what your triggers may be. For Lewis, I'm sure his are totally different from mine.
What are
Um,
my triggers? I ain't got no
no,
triggers.
I'm gonna let you talk about your
No,
own triggers.
tell them.
I'm
I don't
talking about
know.
my own. No, hey, I'm gonna let you talk about your own. For me, mine are during the holidays, my birthday, not birthday, birthday, Christmas, and New Year's. Because those were the times that I was by myself. I was raising my children by myself. It was a very hard time. I struggled. So when those times come around, even when we were dating, even though yes, you're happy, it's a new relationship, the whole nine, you still struggle during those times. As much as you want to hide those things when you're trying to date and you want to get to know the person, you still try to hide those things because you don't want them to know that that's an area that you struggle in. Sometimes when the weather gets bad, like now, sometimes I just don't want to be bothered. I just want to stay at home in my pajamas and I'm good.
And that's where you, as a mate, you have to be perceptive. You have to be
Hmm.
sensitive to your mate. And so once I realized that the holidays were a tough time for her, that's when I began to kick in more,
Hmm.
right? That's when I began to do the things that we do them anyway, but the small things matter more when you're going through something. So it's those times when, the extra I love you works, or the extra um, Facebook message, the extra time you spend doing the small things that you don't normally, you do them anyway, but you do them more,
Right.
right? Because you are understanding that she's going through something or he's going through something, and this is a tough part of the year for
And sometimes it's hard to explain or put in words. I remember one time, some months back, I was having a rough day, like, and I couldn't explain it. And I ended up having a meltdown at work. So instead of dealing with it head on at work, I just said, you know what, I'm gonna go home. So I called Lewis and he was like, well, what's the matter? What? I said, just let me go to sleep. I just need a moment to myself. And for me, that's just real. Sometimes you just got to tap out. Today was a very hectic day. I was busy all day and also preparing for something tomorrow. And I was all day, my mind was just going nonstop. And I couldn't get all my thoughts together. And I finally got everything done. But when I came home, because Lewis knew I had a bad day, dinner was cooked
her.
when
How
I
did I
walked
know
in the
that you had a bad
door.
day? Did you tell me that you had a bad day?
I was telling you what was going on, but I did it in a roundabout way. I didn't say, you know what, today is just a messed up day, blah, blah. I didn't do that. I just said, I just got a lot of stuff going on and I'm trying to sort it out. I told him that in the morning. When I came home, dinner was cooked. I didn't have to ask him. He already knows. I mean, and it's taken a while for us to get to this point. There was a time, and this is just a transparent moment, in the very beginning of our relationship, when he got mad, he would isolate himself. He would either go in another room and stay there. And it was almost like, I think, in a sense, and this is just me looking from the outside in, because he had been in a cage for so long, without having to deal with that stuff, he isolated himself from me and, in a sense, put himself in a cage. Now, I didn't see that in the very beginning, but in hindsight now, I see it as that. And I know what it is. And sometimes I just need to leave him alone, let him have his moment because he just needs time away from me.
But there's also something else on that too, that because I still do
Hmm.
it. My parents did not sleep in the same bedroom.
That ain't happening here.
When I was in high school, my dad slept in the den.
Hmm.
You feel me? So I didn't grow up seeing my parents handle um, friction well. I didn't see my parents handling conflict well. So the way they handled conflict was to, he slept in the den, she slept in the room. And so what we have to begin to do in relationships is realize where that stuff comes from
Hmm.
and just be honest about it. And it's like I tell her all the time, I'm a product of my experiences. I'm a some product of my experiences. And, every experience has kind of colored how I approach, how I deal with things. But she'll tell you that I'm not scared to change.
No.
You know what I mean? I ain't scared to learn. I ain't scared to change. I'm not scared, and I ain't scared to say I don't know.
But it's taken us a while. Ain't nothing perfect. I mean, yes, we post good things to lift each other up, but that is some areas that we need that for ourselves. And then maybe even leaving it as an example for somebody else. By no means are we perfect.
And because we don't post bad stuff,
don't mean that we don't have issues
right?
too.
and because we don't shoot slugs at each other, and because we aren't posting, subliminal shots at each other, does not mean that we don't have issues in our life. There have been some substantial issues, particularly during the campaign.
Lord, yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so what that means is that doesn't mean that our frontward facing relationship on Facebook is false. Mm-hmm. It just means that we don't believe in what old folks used to say, airing our dirty laundry. When people come to our
stay at home.
When people come to our page, they come to our page for motivation. Mm-hmm. And we realize that we own that. They don't come to our page for mess. Right. They don't come to our page for something petty. They don't come to our page to laugh. And we own that because we have crafted and kind of we are who we are and it's authentic, but yet we're not going to there's no need for you to put your bad stuff on Facebook, right? Like there's just no need. like there's no need for you to if me and you are going through it, we go through it
by ourselves
and still post positivity. Mm-hmm. Right?
Because there's been times that I've been frustrated at Lewis and I've still posted something positive because I had somebody tell me the other day, I wait for your post every day. So if I'm sitting here posting something negative, oh, he get on my nerves, somebody else is watching that. There may be somebody struggling with an area in their marriage and they're not quite sure. I'm not going to put something negative out there to make them falter.
And somebody's watching you when you post. Don't forget that you're a leader. Please don't forget that. Please don't think that being a leader is for somebody else. Somebody is watching you.
We're all leaders.
And you are determining the flavor of their day when they scroll through Facebook. So you have a responsibility, right? And yeah, I mean, you can say what you want to, but you have a responsibility that you are coloring folks' day. So when you're venting and you're mad at this and you're shooting slugs over here, you're coloring somebody else's day. And you have to own that.
And something I always say, before there was a Facebook, before there was any type of social media, when we had an issue with somebody, how did we take care of it?
And you pick up the phone or show up
at their house.
Man, people will tell you Louis Fats would show up at your door. Like, I didn't believe in texting. I didn't believe in phone calls. If we was beefing, if we had an issue, I show up at your front door.
But it's easy to sit behind the computer and type and say whatever you want.
Louis Conway Jr., I gotta be nice. Like Louis Conway Jr., I gotta respond in a certain way because I know the whole world is reading.
But regardless of who you are, sometimes you just have to take the high road.
You have to take the high road. And this isn't like, this is just us being honest because there's some, there are a lot of blessings in our life that we don't talk about. Mm-hmm. There are things that happen because we don't want it to seem like you have to live a certain way for things to manifest in your life. The only things that we have done is be obedient and we have been willing to jump out of the boat. Whenever that boat has gotten too small, whenever our wings have begun to rub up against the nest, we have learned how to fly on our way down, right?
Is it comfortable?
On our way up.
Absolutely not.
Is it scary? Absolutely.
Yes.
Right? It's scary because you got to remember when we met, I worked in a strip club, man. Like I was getting 400 or 500 a day cash. I was saving. My bank account was an Eggo box. My bank account was an Eggo box, and I used to shove $1 bills in this Eggo box, and I had Eggo boxes in my freezer until I met her. And when she showed up, I would go to the freezer and pull out an Eggo box and decide where we was going, and that depends on how many ones I.
Embarrassing.
But when I left the strip club, she understood why I was leaving the strip club, and she understood that when I put out my book and I was trying to be a speaker, and when I was first getting into organizing, she knew that there was a space between getting money and being broke. Like, tell me about Sunday dinners.
There are times that I have gone to church, and right after church, I could go to the strip club. Not because I wanted to see anything, but because
I'm talking about after the Wendy's.
Oh yeah. So rewind. So there were times that we struggled where our Sunday dinners were Wendy's value meal. But it
In a
wasn't
one-bedroom
about
apartment.
in a one-bedroom apartment in Round Rock. But it wasn't about the quality of food or the restaurant. It was the fact that we were spending time and that we were able to struggle together in order to build something better. And not just for us, but for our children, for our grandkids.
That's always been.
It's always been about building a legacy for our children.
From the beginning, our conversations were never about us getting rich.
Never.
It was always about how can we provide opportunities for our children? How can we provide options? Right?
When I close my eyes, I can't leave my state of Texas job to my children. When I'm gone, that's it. I can't leave that to them. Maggie said she's gonna start stashing her money in the Eggo box. Thanks for the tip, Lewis. I can't. Don't listen to Lewis on that, Maggie, please.
But we're just being honest. It's
Yeah.
like there was times in our life where we were broke, man. Like real talk. Like I mean, I went from getting money to getting nothing to trying to figure out. Look, I edited a whole movie. Like I spent a month and a half editing a movie, right? On spec, which meant if the customer liked it, he gonna pay me, right? And so, right? And then after I edit the whole movie, it's a question about getting paid. You feel me? So it goes back to the bamboo tree. It takes 5 years for a bamboo tree to grow, but it grows 90 feet in 5 weeks, but it takes 5 years to get to that point. But if you stop watering that seed, if you stop putting sun on that seed, if you stop caring for the soil, it will never grow.
Right.
So the whole campaign, we worked for a year and a half, right? For free. Like we weren't getting paid to run, but it was that work that enables us to do what we're doing now, right? So back when we were broke, back when we were eating those Wendy value meals, back when we were trying
Get a bag of chicken from chicken quarters, leg quarters from Fiesta. And breaking them up for meals because that's all we was eating was baked chicken. But hey, I will say this: that has made our relationship stronger. All the things that we've gone through, all of this has made us humble, and it's going to keep us humble for where we're going. But what we were basically talking about self-care, but that's part of our self-care is taking care of each other. And it's so easy in this time and age for people to give up on marriage. Like, you know what? I just don't want to do this no more. I'm tired of him. I'm giving up. But for us, it's a special case because one of us has been to prison and one of us, so we're both been in cages. One of us has been to a mental institution. So we have to be careful with each other and offer grace to each other in our growing, because we're only on our 3rd year of marriage, and it has been,
I mean, there's
it has been special.
when we met, there's no way you could have told us that we would be in a space that we're in now.
No.
Like, I was trying, like, you gotta remember when we met, I was in a strip club. I was a strip club DJ that was being treated like a leper because I decided to write a book,
Yeah.
right?
But
And
at
then,
that point, your wings got too big to fit in that nest, and it was time to go.
and having someone with you that will support that,
Yeah.
right? Because I have been in situations where they didn't want me to quit the job because of the money. Because if I quit the job, that means I don't have that money, right? And so she was willing to say that not only are you better than this job, but there's more for you.
Yeah.
And if you don't have something like that, besides, I said the quality of the man is really determined by the quality of the woman he chooses. And that's not an accident. Like that yin yang thing, that's not an accident. Our logo, the infinity symbol, that's not an accident, right? That's being equally yoked, you know? And so tonight, you know, we just want to continually try to offer up some stuff that we didn't have, right? And coming into our relationship, no one wrote a book on online dating.
And are we perfect? Absolutely not. Do
No
we have
one-
all the answers? Absolutely not. But we are going to live daily to make sure that we learn as we go. I didn't have anybody to give me a manual to say, this is how marriage is supposed to be. You're supposed to do this when this happens. You're supposed, because everybody is different. I am learning things about Lewis every single day as he's learning about
I'm
me.
not complicated, I'm simple. Whatever.
Yeah, everybody don't know the other side. You just see what y'all see. But no, that's just, it's like having a roommate. You learning a roommate. And this is going to be your permanent roommate. It's not going to be a roommate. You can say, you know what? You got to go because I can't do this no more. I mean, you could, but.
Our client, Christy Hall, and if you need a realtor, definitely check out Christy Hall.
Yes.
Christy Hall said something to us that stuck with me. She said, when it comes to marriage, the key is don't quit. Don't leave. Just stay.
Stay.
And that seems so simple, right? Just stay. But how often do we have an opportunity to quit and we take it? How many times do things get hard and the easy route is to bounce? I did it. This is my 4th marriage. I bounced. And she'll tell you, like, if I smell something fishy, I'm out. If I smell it, I'm out.
But it's too easy to just run when you could just face it and deal with it. It could be something that can be repaired as opposed to saying.
Y'all really should be on YouTube because the YouTube angle is really sexy.
Anyway, nobody's trying to hear that. Anyway, so I forgot what I was
You were talking about that, what I was saying before I interrupted.
Oh, basically working it out, trying to figure out what it is because we're still trying to get to know each other. We're still learning. And that's with any relationship. But you have to be, like he said, you have to be willing to stay to work that thing out. It could be something very small. It could be something big. Like he said before, we were truly tested during the campaign, but we were willing to stay and work it out no matter what. And I ain't going nowhere.
The campaign was, I think it's one of those milestones, right? It's one of those benchmarks.
Yeah, it was stretching our muscles, big time, our faith muscles.
There have been several benchmarks, right? When we put out the books.
Yes.
You know, when I put out my first book, when she put out her book, and then when I put out my next book. So there's been a series of benchmarks that has stretched us and grown us. And, you know, there are spaces that we're about to enter into that, you know, let's just say we're grateful, right? We're thankful for
Very
obedience,
humble.
right? And just want to encourage folks, you know, like 6 years ago, I was homeless, straight up. Like I was in Skid Row. I just left Fort Worth. I was homeless, you know. 2014, I was in a strip club. 2015, I was broke. I was trying to sell books for a living. you know. So there's always a path to where you are now, and every marathon begins with those first steps. And sometimes there's stumbles, sometimes you fall, sometimes, but the main thing is you get back up,
Yeah.
right? Because there were times where it felt like, and we had to get counseling, like straight up. Like there were times when we had to go to our pastor and get counseling, like straight up. You know what I mean? Like
And don't feel like you don't need
man,
counseling.
straight up.
If
Look,
you need it,
hey,
you better phone a friend.
hey, listen to me. I'm gonna give you some game that somebody gave me. The more successful you are, the more therapy you need. Square business. The more successful you are, the more counseling you need to be seeking out.
Amen.
I'm just letting you know. Like,
Amen.
it's something I didn't think was real. It's real.
Whether it's from your pastor, if it's a therapist, a counselor, whoever you need, tap into them because we cannot do this by ourselves.
The visibility, and when I say success, don't get that confused with money.
No.
Right? Because success is defined as somebody that is pursuing a worthy idea. Right? And so the more you pursue that worthy idea, you're gonna manifest the results of that pursuit, and which is going to give you a certain amount of visibility. That visibility comes with a certain responsibility, but it also comes with attacks. It comes with imposter syndrome. It comes with feeling like you're less than.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
go get some. You guys are amazing. Thank you, Joe.
Thank
you.
you.
But like I'm just being real. Go get some therapy. Go get some counseling. We have a strong relationship with our pastor.
Yes, we do.
Like,
And if you feel
shout out Pastor Clark. Shout out GMZ. Shout out Galen Clark. That's my dude. If y'all don't know about GMZ, Tanny Hill, right over there in the hood. Y'all come through every Sunday. Anyway.
And if you can't come, you can stream it. But anyway, we were talking about counseling. Hold on, let me get my thought.
And needing it.
Yes. So I know the stigma is, family members think, ain't nothing wrong with you. Let's pray over you. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with prayer because I pray every day. But sometimes we need that extra. Sometimes we need somebody that is biased, that has nothing to do with our relationship, doesn't know anything about us, that we can sit and vent to. They are professionals. They can help you. And sometimes, people say you crazy. But to me, and I've heard this clinically all the time, depression is a chemical imbalance. There's nothing that you can just snap and magically is gone away. It is a chemical imbalance. I don't care what nobody say. You can't just say, oh, it's going to be all right. And for people to constantly tell you, oh, you're going to be okay. You just need to talk to somebody. Yes, you do need to talk to somebody. Sometimes, and there's a lot of people that are in
Don't
silence.
tell nobody they're going to get past it. Don't. That's one of the worst things. That's one of the most insensitive.
I agree.
Like, don't tell nobody that.
Sometimes you just need an ear. And even if it's in the middle of a marriage, if one is dealing with something and the other can't deal with it, lend an ear, give them some resources. If you don't know nobody, find somebody that has some resources, but don't tap out. Marriages should work. They are meant to work. They are not, oh, we're just doing this because it's a fad. We're going to get married and then we're just going to tap out and it's done. No. I've been married one time before and I'm not going nowhere this time. I learned so many valuable lessons in my first marriage in order to see what I don't want and what I'm not going to do this time. Do I sit in, because I have a friend that she talks to me all the time. She says, I'm constantly arguing with my husband. And I'm like, well, where is it getting you? Like,
we don't, I mean,
just can't do the arguing thing.
I argue with people I don't like. So if you try to engage me in an argument and I won't argue with you, that means I like you. Like I don't like arguing because I don't.
Now we will say what we have to say. I value his opinion and he values mine. After that, we say what we gotta say and we move on. Do we hold grudges and hold it for weeks and weeks? I just don't have time. I don't have the capacity in my life to hold on to that anymore because the thing is you let that stuff build up and build up and build up and then you pop and it's like, well, why didn't you talk to me about any of this before? If it's not a big deal, let it go. And something has happened to me multiple times now as an adult, as a married adult, is that when I'm ready to say something and I'm ready to say, I know you didn't say this, blah, blah, because we get there, black women. I feel this every time. As soon as I'm getting ready to say something, and I just leave it alone. I pray about it and I let it go. If I have to journal it or whatever I have to do to get it out, I just have to let it go because it keeps you stuck. Just like distractions that happen in our lives, there's distractions that happen in our marriages, and we can't let it just keep us stuck there. It's like a speed bump that you just get stopped. You stop on top of it and you never move over it. I just don't have time for that anymore. And I'm sure it's come with time.
You see why I'm married?
And grace. But back in the day, it's like, I know he didn't say whoop, whoop, whoop. But I don't have time for that anymore.
And I don't have the mouth I used to have.
Nah, I just don't have time.
Yeah, so anyway, Monday night, where we at? 9:41, 9:42. Y'all appreciate
we
y'all
don't want to
hanging out.
keep you on long. We're trying to get on each week and try to talk about a different subject. Take care of yourselves. Yoga, walking, sitting in quiet, meditation, praying, massage, pedicures, manicures. There's all kinds of things you can do. I'm going to add my girl Shemaine Williams and have her do my face for as an esthetician. I haven't had a facial in years. Acupuncture is amazing. You just have to do different things that are going to make you feel better, make you get better. Just feel good about yourself, because people ask me, well, how is it that you're a stylist? It starts underneath. It comes from inside. It comes from the inside and spills out. This is not something that happened overnight. I did not wake up like this. It takes time. Sometimes I don't want to get up. No, I don't. Sometimes I don't want to get up, and sometimes I just don't want to do anything. So my advice to you this week is to keep pushing, keep rising, keep elevating, and do whatever it is that you need to do to make you better. Don't worry about any competition. The only competition is looking at you in the mirror every day.
Yeah, man. So let's talk to them about Equally Yoked. Where we going to be at? Tomorrow, we're going to be at Austin ALC, right?
Mm-hmm. Austin Learning Center, with Willie Anderson and her group of kids. They're talking about our stories and how they can remain on the same, get on a better path so they can be greater.
And then on the 15th, this Friday, we're getting the Austin Young Chamber Changemaker Award. So if y'all want to come hang out, let me know. Hit me up in the inbox, and we'll send y'all an invite. Mm-hmm. And then 23rd.
Or is it the 24th?
No, we're doing Robert King.
Oh, the 23rd, we're doing Emmett Till, a talk back for Robert King. You should come out. This is going to be an amazing event. I can't even get my words together.
And then on the 24th, we're going to launch the Equally Yoked tour at Hair Lounge. We'll tell you some more about that. I'll post some stuff. We'll post it. So yeah, that's what's up. And then March 3rd, there's something happening. I just got it. So something just hit me. Anyway, we'll keep you updated. We appreciate y'all hanging out. Yoked Equally After Dark every Monday, 9 p.m. Podcast will drop tomorrow. Make sure you go to SoundCloud, Yoked _ Equally. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's it.
Follow us on all social media. Yoked _ Equally on Instagram. On Facebook, it's Equally Yoked Marketing.
Go to YouTube, y'all. Y'all follow us on YouTube. Y'all come to YouTube.
Yeah, we need y'all to get over to YouTube. But we're going to do both, but we really want to get everybody over to YouTube.
Y'all come to YouTube. All right. We love y'all so much. Thank you. All right.
Y'all have a
wonderful evening.
And a good week.
Stay out of trouble. You don't have to. But.
Good night.
Oh.